What if the universe has been trying to show you exactly where your self worth gets tested and strengthened this entire time? Taurus isn't just about money, comfort, and aesthetics. Taurus is about value, what you believe you deserve, what you're willing to receive, and what you refuse to settle for anymore. In this video, I'm breaking down Taurus through all 12 houses so you can finally understand where you've been taught to shrink your worth, where you're meant to elevate your standards, and where receiving is no longer optional. It's your spiritual practice. Because this isn't just about luxury, this is about ownership of your time, your peace, your presence, and your power. So grab your birth chart, find the house or houses where Taurus sits, and let's dive in.
Taurus in the first house is a soul contract to make yourself the foundation. You didn't come here to chase status, approval, or constant motion. You came here to move through life like you already belong everywhere you step. The first house is your identity, the cover of your life story. It governs your physical presence, personal style, and the instinctive energy you project without trying. Taurus is the sign of embodiment, stability, value, and self-possession. When these two merge, your entire existence becomes a mirror for your self-worth. Your presence says, I know my worth, and I will not be rushed, reduced, or replaced. But this kind of rooted self-worth doesn't just arrive. It's forged. You will be tested. You will face seasons where you feel invisible, underestimated, or flattened into someone else's version of you, until you reclaim the truth. No one else is responsible for protecting and projecting your value but you. This placement is not about proving your worth. It's about becoming it. Your body, your voice, your pace, your preferences. These aren't superficial traits. They are sacred instruments for anchoring into yourself in a world that constantly tries to pull you into comparison, overextension, and aesthetic performance. Taurus in the first house calls you to treat your peace like power, to make your stillness magnetic, to let your presence say, I am the value, and to never again ask for permission to exist in your full form. The gift of Taurus in the first house is magnetic self-assurance. The challenge is that it can get buried under years of survival mode conditioning. This can bring people-pleasing to stay low maintenance. So you may have been rewarded for being easygoing, non-demanding, or chill, which taught you to shrink your needs and dim your desires to keep the peace. You may have your identity tied to your appearance. So there's often a push-pull here. Part of you loves beauty and wants to feel at home in your body, but you may also feel trapped by how others judge your physicality. Another challenge to this energy is externalizing your worth. So you might base your value on how you look, what you own, or whether others validate you. This creates a constant pressure to maintain appearances or curate a life that looks peaceful, even if it's not. Another challenge is overcompensating to be seen as valuable. You may try to earn your worth through constant helpfulness, being the stable one, or taking on other people's emotional weight. Another challenge is outsourcing self-soothing. So when inner stability feels shaky, you might turn to food, shopping, or relationships for comfort instead of cultivating that safety within yourself. And another is over-identifying with what's tangible. You may limit your self-concept to what can be measured, such as your productivity, your results, your image, instead of honoring your inner worth, creativity, and intuition. These challenges aren't here to punish you. They're here to show you exactly where you're ready to anchor deeper. This placement doesn't just influence how you look. It shapes the natural magnetism that people feel from you before you even speak. But that magnetism only activates when you believe you're worthy of being seen without having to perform. So this energy can show up in your life in a few different ways. So you can be seen as the calm in the chaos. So you may attract people who want your peace, but don't know how to give it in return. This can show up as friends, partners, or clients who drain your energy while calling you calming. Next is misunderstood depth and being underestimated. So there can be a subtle pattern of others assuming you're just pretty, peaceful, or steady, missing the fact that you're also strategic, powerful, and capable of building empires. Another is that you crave ownership of your time, your body, your image, and your choices. But you may have learned early on to let others define you in exchange for safety or approval. Also, there's a hunger for beauty and stability. You're naturally drawn to quality, whether in your clothes, home, relationships, or surroundings, but you may unconsciously wait for permission to indulge in the life you truly want. Healing Taurus in the first house is not about becoming someone else. It's about reclaiming the version of you that doesn't flinch when your worth is questioned. The first step to achieving this is to invest in your nervous system. Embodiment practices such as yoga, dance, breath work, and intentional touch are your sacred tools for feeling safe in yourself. Next is to create a no-perform zone. So create a space or a ritual where you are 100% unfiltered. No makeup, no curated words, no posture, so that you can begin to remember who you are beyond the performance. Next is to guard your access. Treat your time and energy like luxury items. They're not available for everyone on demand. You don't owe your presence to everyone. Start treating your time and energy as premium currency, not something freely available to whoever asks. Being selective is not arrogance. It's self-respect. Next is to curate your environment. Taurus thrives in beauty. Surround yourself with textures, fragrances, colors, and objects that feel like abundance, because they retrain your nervous system to normalize receiving. Next is to make your presence intentional. Enter rooms, conversations, and opportunities with the inner statement: I am not here to audition for acceptance. I am here to see if this aligns with me. And finally, dress for your future, not your fears. Let your clothing, grooming, and physical expression reflect the level of life you're calling in, not the level you're afraid to outgrow. A great affirmation for your Taurus-ruled first house is: I am the embodiment of sacred worth. I honor my presence, protect my peace, and rise into a life that reflects my true value. Let's make this a chart therapy session and share your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, be sure to hit like, send this to your astrology bestie, and subscribe so you never miss your cosmic fix. And this is just the surface, so let's go all the way in. Details for my digital journals, courses, and sessions are linked below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Taurus in the second house is a soul contract to build a life rooted in self-worth, ownership, and inner stability. You didn't come here to constantly chase security. You came here to embody it, to know on a soul deep level that you are enough with or without external validation. The second house governs your money, possessions, self-esteem, and personal values. It answers the question: what do I have and what do I believe I deserve? With Taurus here, you're being asked to treat your energy, your resources, and your time like sacred currency. You're not meant to be in survival mode. You are here to claim your value without apology and to create a life that reflects that value at every level. This isn't just about wealth. It's about worthiness. It's about building a reality where your self-trust is unshakable, where your decisions come from enoughness, not desperation, and where you stop waiting to be chosen and start choosing yourself. Taurus is at home in the second house, but that comfort can sometimes lead to complacency, scarcity thinking, or fear of disruption, especially if safety was inconsistent in your early life. Taurus in the second can bring a few challenges, one being over-identifying with material possessions. So you may use money, status, or aesthetics to feel valuable, even if it doesn't match your deeper truth. You may have a fear of financial instability, so you might struggle to take risk, leave toxic jobs, or invest in yourself due to a deep-rooted fear of not having enough. There's also undervaluing your skills or offerings. So you may hesitate to raise your rates, ask for what you're worth, or claim credit for your gifts, even when you're overqualified. There's also clinging to comfort over growth. So you might stay in the known, relationships, careers, routines, even if they drain you, because they feel safe. You may also carry guilt around receiving. So you may feel more comfortable giving than receiving, unconsciously believing that rest, money, or ease must be earned. This placement can also keep you stuck in a scarcity mindset. Even when you have enough, you may fear it disappearing, causing you to hold on too tightly or block new abundance from flowing in. You have the potential to be deeply self-sufficient, stable, and abundant, but only when your foundation is built from internal worth, not external proof. You thrive when your life reflects your values and when you stop settling for less than what you know you deserve. You're learning how to feel safe inside your own body. When your nervous system is regulated, everything else aligns. Your money, your relationships, and your creativity. You may attract jobs or relationships that reflect your current level of self-worth. When you believe you're valuable, your external world upgrades to match. You're also deeply resourceful. You can build something solid from very little, but you're not meant to live in lack. You're here to expand. You also naturally ground others, but may struggle to receive the same from them. You may become the provider, the stable one, the one others depend on, while your own needs go unmet. Also, your relationship with money reflects your relationship with yourself. When you trust yourself, abundance flows more easily. When you doubt yourself, you may overwork or overgive just to feel safe. To begin to heal and realign with this energy, the first step is to treat your self-worth as non-negotiable. You don't have to earn your enoughness. It's already yours. Start making decisions from that place. Next is to audit your energy like your bank account. What are you spending your time, care, and attention on? Are you getting a return on that investment? Next is to let receiving be your new baseline. Open the door. Say yes to help. Allow rest, compliments, support, and abundance to come in without guilt. Next is to raise your standards without explaining. Stop settling in your relationships, pricing, or environment. You don't need a reason to want more. Next is to build wealth from the inside out. Financial peace starts with inner peace. Your beliefs around safety, value, and receiving are the true foundation of abundance. And finally, trust your ability to rebuild no matter what. You are not fragile. You are not dependent. You are the resource. That's your power. A great affirmation for your Taurus-ruled second house is, I am the source of my worth. I receive, create, and expand from a place of grounded enoughness. Let's make this a chart therapy session and share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you love this, be sure to hit like, spread the magic, and subscribe so you never miss a planetary truth bomb. Your next breakthrough is just one click away. My digital journals, audio guidance, courses, and private sessions are linked below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for being here. Taurus in the third house is a soul contract to ground your voice in truth and to trust that what you have to say matters. You didn't come here to shout over the noise, rush your ideas, or mimic other people's opinions. You came to communicate with calm, confidence, and conviction. The third house governs your mindset, communication style, thought patterns, early environment, and the way you process and share information. With Taurus here, you're not meant to be fast, flashy, or performative. You're meant to speak from a place of embodied knowing. This placement is here to help you unlearn the lie that you have to rush, prove, or over-explain to be taken seriously. Your voice is not here to entertain. It's here to anchor. Your thoughts are not meant to race. They're meant to root. You are here to communicate value, to think intentionally, to write, teach, share, and speak in ways that reflect your worth, not in ways that chase validation. The third house wants stimulation, speed, and variety. But Taurus craves steadiness. When these energies clash, it can create internalized pressure to keep up, speak louder, or perform intellect, even when it's out of alignment. So this can cause you to second-guess your voice. You may stay silent, even when you have something important to say, afraid you'll sound wrong, be misunderstood, or won't say it perfectly. You may also fear being judged as slow, boring, or not smart enough. You may compare your communication style to others and pressure yourself to be quicker, funnier, or more articulate. You may also carry outdated thought patterns inherited from childhood. Early environments may have taught you to keep quiet, be agreeable, or avoid conflict, causing you to minimize your truth. There's also resistance to learning new perspectives. Once your mind is made up, it can be hard to shift. Taurus here can create mental stubbornness, even when growth is needed. There is also the challenge of holding back your creative ideas. You may struggle to believe your thoughts are original, valuable, or worth sharing, especially if you've been dismissed in the past. Also, there may be a challenge of you speaking in a way that feels overly curated or safe. You may filter your words so much that they lose the emotional truth behind them. Your voice has weight. Your ideas have presence. When you speak from your truth, not your fear, you hold the power to shift a room. But your power grows slowly, quietly, and through trust in your own mind. You think deeply before speaking. You process slowly and intentionally, and people feel the calm in your communication when you choose to share it. You are a natural writer, teacher, or speaker, but you may keep your gifts hidden. You often feel like you need more credentials, clarity, or confidence before putting yourself out there. You may also come off as reserved, but your words land. People remember what you say, even if you don't say much. You bring stability through your tone, cadence, and clarity. Your early environment shaped your voice. So you may have been raised around strong opinions, pressure to conform, or a need to stay small. But you're here to rewrite that narrative. You may also prefer to show rather than tell. So instead of loud declarations, you speak through consistency, energy, and presence. To begin to heal and realign with this energy, the first step is to let your voice reflect your value, not your fear. Stop watering yourself down to sound more palatable. Speak with the grounded confidence of someone who knows they're enough. Next is to release the belief that you have to sound a certain way to be heard. You don't have to be loud, fast, or flashy. Your calm is your credibility. Next is to know that slow is sacred. Whether you're learning, writing, or speaking, let your natural rhythm guide you. There's power in the pause. Next is to create rituals that support mental peace. Journal slowly. Speak affirmations aloud. Walk without your phone. Let your mind move in stillness. Next is to say the thing, even if your voice shakes, even if it's awkward, even if it's not polished. Worthy thoughts don't need perfect delivery to matter. And finally, unlearn the programming that taught you to shrink. Whether from siblings, school, or family, start questioning the rules you inherited about what you're allowed to say. A great affirmation for your Taurus-ruled third house is, my voice is valuable. I speak with calm, clarity, and the confidence of someone who knows their worth. Okay, your turn. Be sure to chat with me in the comments and let me know what resonated with you. And of course, tap that like button, share the vibes, and subscribe so the stars always find you. And if this resonated, imagine what we can do in a full session. The links to my digital journals, courses, and one-on-ones are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Taurus in the fourth house is a soul contract to create emotional safety that can't be shaken. You didn't come here to live in survival mode. You came to build a life, internally and externally, that feels stable, warm, and self-honoring from the inside out. The fourth house governs your roots, home, family, emotional foundation, and the version of you that exists when no one's watching. With Taurus here, your soul craves security, not just physical, but energetic. You're learning that peace is not something you stumble into. It's something you intentionally protect, create, and commit to. This placement is here to remind you. You get to define what home means now. You're allowed to outgrow what once kept you safe. Your stability doesn't have to match anyone else's blueprint. Taurus in the fourth house invites you to become the nurturer you may have never had, to build your inner world like a sanctuary where your nervous system can exhale and your soul can soften. This house holds the weight of your earliest programming. With Taurus here, it can be hard to shift out of old definitions of safety, love, and home, especially if they were tied to control, silence, or emotional repression. So this can bring over-identifying safety with control. You may cling to routines, people, or environments that feel familiar, even if they don't nourish you, because change feels unsafe. This also brings suppressed emotional expression. So you may have been raised in an environment where emotions were seen as inconvenient or dramatic, causing you to internalize instead of express. There's also the fear of emotional instability. So you may avoid conflict or depth in your personal life, fearing that emotional intensity will unravel your sense of safety. This also brings the feeling of being responsible for everyone's peace. So you may have been the stable one in your family, the calm, dependable presence, which taught you to neglect your own needs to maintain harmony. This can also bring guilt around resting or having needs. So you may feel you have to earn comfort or prove your usefulness before allowing yourself to receive or relax. There's also attachment to physical comforts over emotional healing. So you may use food, beauty, or home aesthetics to soothe deeper emotional wounds rather than confronting what's beneath. You carry an energy of emotional grounding that others feel instantly. Your home, your vibe, your energy, it all says safe space. But behind that calm exterior, there may be unspoken emotional needs you've never given yourself full permission to acknowledge. So you may often play the emotional stabilizer in your family, the one who holds it together. But this can leave you feeling unseen, uncelebrated, or emotionally tired. You may struggle to let others in emotionally. You want connection, but your default may be to stay private, self-contained, and emotionally reserved. You've likely built your identity around being grounded, but you may struggle when your inner world doesn't match the calm image you project. And you may find deep comfort in physical rituals, cooking, decorating, creating cozy spaces. They're not superficial. These are actually sacred ways that you connect with safety. And you often may long to go home, but may not be sure where that really is. Because Taurus here asks you to build the emotional home you didn't grow up with. To begin to heal and realign with this energy, the first step is to let stillness be a form of healing, not avoidance. Make peace a daily ritual, not just a reward. Light candles, make tea, breathe. Let your environment support your softness. Next is to give yourself permission to feel without filtering. Not everything has to be calm to be safe. Let your emotions move, especially the ones you were taught to hide. Next is to create physical spaces that mirror your emotional needs. Your home is a manifestation of your worth. Let it reflect the softness, safety, and beauty you deserve. Next is to stop being the emotional anchor for everyone else if it leaves you unhappy. You don't have to carry what others refuse to hold. Protect your peace first. And finally, romanticize the parts of life that no one sees. Your nightstand, your rituals, your Sunday mornings. These quiet, private moments are where you rebuild trust with yourself. A great affirmation for your Taurus-ruled fourth house is, I am my own safe place. I honor my emotions, protect my peace, and create a home within myself. Be sure to drop your wow, this is me moment in the comments. I read them all. And of course, give this video some love, share it with your soul tribe, and subscribe for more magic. And you don't have to figure this out alone. Let's go deeper through my courses, digital journals, audio guidance, or a one-on-one with me. All the links are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Taurus in the fifth house is a soul contract to reclaim your right to pleasure, presence, and unapologetic self-expression. You didn't come here to edit yourself, seek permission, or shrink your joy. You came here to be fully embodied in what makes you come alive, and to know that your joy is not frivolous, it's foundational. The fifth house governs creativity, romance, play, confidence, and the inner child. With Taurus here, your creativity is slow, sensual, and deeply rooted. You're not meant to chase inspiration. You're here to become it. Your self-worth is tied not to just what you produce, but to how much you allow yourself to enjoy the life you're creating. This placement asks, where have you made joy conditional? Where have you muted your desires to be more appropriate or productive? Where did you learn that fun had to be earned? You're here to embody a new relationship with pleasure, one that is grounded, sustainable, and deserved. No performing, no proving, just presence. Taurus brings steadiness, but the fifth house wants spontaneity. This contrast can create internal tension, especially if you were taught to tone down your joy, restrict your desires, or equate fun with guilt. So this can bring feeling blocked or uninspired. You may struggle with creative flow if you're disconnected from your body or feel like your work must be useful to be valid. You may also suppress your playful side. So you might tone yourself down to be more mature, stable, or responsible, forgetting that play is a form of power. There may also be a fear of being seen as indulgent or selfish. You may judge yourself for wanting more beauty, love, or attention, especially if you were raised to prioritize practicality or humility. There's also the challenge of making pleasure conditional. So you may only allow joy once everything else is done, where fun becomes a reward, not a right. There's also over-identifying with romantic validation. You may seek confidence through external attention or romantic pursuit instead of cultivating self-sourced value. Then there's also staying safe instead of being bold. Taurus can stick to the familiar, even when your heart wants to create something bigger, bolder, or more expansive. You are a sensual creator, a steady romantic, a playful soul who sometimes forget how much magic you carry. When you're aligned, your happiness is magnetic, and your confidence makes other people feel safe to be themselves. So you naturally have a grounded, timeless creative style, whether through design, writing, performance, or aesthetics. What you create has soul, softness, and substance. You may also have an old soul inner child. You crave comfort, slowness, and simple pleasures, but you may have missed out on the carefree play you deeply needed. You may attract partners who feel safe with your energy, but you may tone yourself down to be liked. So you may worry that being too bold, expressive, or passionate will make people feel uncomfortable. You may also judge your need for attention. Deep down, you want to be celebrated, but you may guilt yourself for it, telling yourself to stay humble or not be too much. When you reclaim your joy, everything else expands. Your confidence, your love life, your creativity, and your capacity to receive. To begin to heal and realign with this energy, the first step is to let pleasure be part of your healing, not your reward. You don't need to earn happiness. Make time for the things that light you up, especially when life feels heavy. Next is to create just for the sake of creating. Not everything has to be monetized, shared, or perfect. Let art, music, movement, or beauty exist just for you. Next is to reconnect with your inner child's desires. What did they crave? What did they love? What did they stop doing because someone shamed them? Start there. Next is to romanticize your own existence. Wear the outfit, light the candle, take yourself on a date. You are worthy of beauty without needing an audience. Next is to stop apologizing for wanting to be seen. Attention isn't a sin. Let yourself take up space, receive compliments, and express yourself without shame. And finally, anchor confidence in your body, not your performance. Taurus energy reminds you, you are magnetic when you're grounded, not when you're proving. A great affirmation for your Taurus-ruled 5th house is, my joy is sacred. I honor my creativity, my confidence, and my right to feel good in this life. Let's make this a chart therapy session and share your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, be sure to hit like, send this to your astrology bestie, and subscribe so you never miss your cosmic fix. And your next breakthrough is just one click away. My digital journals, audio guidance, courses, and private sessions are linked below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Taurus in the 6th house is a soul contract to build a life that feels just as good on the inside as it looks on the outside. You didn't come here to grind endlessly or prove your worth through productivity. You came here to honor your energy, your rhythms, and your right to peace, even in the small, everyday moments. The 6th house governs routines, work, wellness, service, and how we relate to the everyday systems that make up our lives. With Taurus here, you're being asked to slow down and build stability through self-respect, not self-sacrifice. This is about intentional effort, not endless output. It's about creating habits that nourish you, not punish you. It's about remembering that being grounded, slow, and selective is not laziness. It's a power move. You're here to redefine what a good day looks like. Not one where you cross everything off of a list, but one where you feel aligned, supported, and self-honoring from start to finish. The 6th house naturally holds pressure to do, serve, and maintain. When Taurus energy gets trapped here, it can create guilt around rest, perfectionism around productivity, or even avoidance of structure altogether. So this can show up as equating self-worth with productivity. You may feel more valuable when you're busy, helpful, or producing something tangible. Rest might feel unearned. There's also the challenge of avoiding change in your habits or work life, even when they're no longer working. Taurus resists disruption, so you may cling to routines that are comfortable but outdated. Also, overextending yourself in service roles. You might take on too much, stay late, or say yes when you're already at capacity, all to avoid disappointing others. There's also the challenge of staying stuck in cycles of burnout and recovery. You push until you collapse, then retreat to recover, never fully finding a rhythm that feels sustainable. There's also the challenge of perfectionism around wellness. You might judge yourself harshly for not eating clean enough, working out consistently enough, or keeping up a routine perfectly. There's also the fear of being seen as lazy or unreliable. So you might internalize guilt for needing rest, structure, or softness, especially if your upbringing glorified overwork. You're here to create a life that works for you, not a copy-paste routine, not a hustle scripted lifestyle, but one where your body, energy, and values are centered in every decision, big or small. So this energy can show up in your life in a few different ways. One being where you crave routines that feel luxurious. You're not here for militant structure. You thrive when your rituals are sensory, peaceful, and designed for joy, not pressure. You are also deeply reliable, but it often goes unnoticed. You're the consistent one, the steady force. But because you make it look effortless, people may take your contributions for granted. You may also attract roles or work environments where you're expected to hold it all together. So you may be seen as the calm, grounded one, which can lead to being overburdened or undersupported. You may also struggle with a consistency around self-care. You want to feel good, but if wellness becomes a chore or feels too rigid, you may abandon it entirely. You also want to feel useful, but on your terms. You're here to be of service, but not at the cost of your health, peace, or time. Also, your nervous system is sensitive to chaos. You need work environments, daily habits, and physical spaces that support stability, quiet, and intentional pace. To begin to heal and realign with this energy, the first step is to redefine discipline as devotion. You're not meant to push. You're meant to honor. Create routines that nourish, not punish. Next is to make your body the boss of your schedule. Let your physical cues guide your timing. Eat when you're hungry. Rest when you're tired. Work in aligned windows, not by the clock. Next is to create daily rituals that feel like love. Light a candle before your to-do list. Stretch instead of scrolling. Add softness to your structure. Next is to release guilt for needing more time, space, or quiet. You don't need to match anyone else's pace. Slowness is not a flaw. It's a sacred boundary. Next is to choose quality over quantity in everything. Fewer tasks, more intention. Fewer clients, more alignment. Fewer shoulds, more you. And finally, build a version of success that includes wellness. If your peace isn't part of the plan isn't worth it. A great affirmation for your Taurus-ruled 6th house is, I honor my energy. I create rituals, routines, and work that reflect my peace and self-worth. It's chart confession time, so be sure to let me know what resonated most for you in the comments. And of course, if this lit you up, hit like, share it with your friends, and subscribe for your next download. And let's turn this insight into action. So grab a digital journal, dive into my courses, audio guidance, or book a one-on-one with me. All of my links are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Taurus in the 7th house is a soul contract to build relationships rooted in peace, value, and mutual respect. You didn't come here to chase love. You came to become the kind of person who attracts love that feels safe, solid, and soul nourishing. The 7th house rules one-on-one connections, romantic partners, close friendships, business partners, and even open enemies. It's the mirror house, where we learn about ourselves through the people we let get close. And with Taurus here, that mirror reflects self-worth. You're not here to prove you're lovable. You're here to choose relationships that reflect the worth you've already claimed. To stop settling for crumbs and start requiring consistency, loyalty, and emotional safety. Taurus in the 7th house reminds you that real love is calm, not chaotic. That attraction is more than chemistry, it's alignment. And that peace in a partnership isn't boring, it's sacred. You're learning to say, if it costs me my peace, it's not love. If I can't be my full self, it's not connection. If I have to earn it, it's not for me. Taurus craves stability, and the 7th house longs for connection. Together, this can create a deep desire for long-term love, but also the risk of holding on to unhealthy relationships just to avoid being alone. So this brings the challenge of staying in relationships out of comfort, not compatibility. You may hold on too long, hoping things will improve, even when your body knows it's time to go. This also brings confusing peace with passivity. You might settle for surface-level calm or emotional avoidance, mistaking it for stability, when really you're suppressing truth to avoid conflict. Another challenge is outsourcing your self-worth to a partner. You may feel more valuable when you're chosen, loved, or needed, making you vulnerable to one-sided or unbalanced dynamics. There's also a fear of emotional volatility. So you might avoid passionate or emotionally intense relationships because they feel unsafe, even if they offer depth and transformation. Then there's overgiving in relationships to prove you're worth keeping. Taurus energy can try to earn love by being steady, dependable, and low maintenance, all at the cost of your own needs and desires. There's also the challenge of delaying commitment out of fear it will disrupt your peace. On the flip side, You may fear giving up your independence or sense of self in a relationship, especially if you've been burned before. You carry a natural warmth and steadiness in your one-on-one connections. You're the partner people lean on, the friend who makes others feel calm, the collaborator who brings grace and groundedness. But underneath the surface, you may wrestle with worthiness, boundaries, and the fear of giving too much or not enough. So this can show up where you crave emotional safety above all else. Drama drains you. You want love that feels like a safe place to land, not a high-stakes performance. You're also deeply loyal, but sometimes to a fault. You may tolerate misalignment in relationships for the sake of sticking it out, even when your soul is tired. You may attract partners who want your peace, but may not know how to reciprocate it. This can lead to lopsided dynamics where you become the emotional anchor while your needs go unmet. You may also find yourself avoiding love until you feel perfect, thinking you have to look a certain way, earn a certain income, or become fully healed before letting love in. You may feel most empowered in relationships where your values are shared. You want someone who builds with you, not someone who destabilizes your vision. And you also carry a quiet romanticism. You're not flashy about it, but you do crave touch, loyalty, beauty, and shared routines that feel like home. To begin to heal and realign with this energy, the first step is to stop choosing what looks good over what feels right. Real love won't require you to sacrifice your truth, your peace, or your voice. If it does, it's not aligned. Next is to let your relationships reflect your self-worth, not define it. You are already whole. Love is meant to add to your life, not prove your value. Next is to create standards based on emotional safety, not just aesthetics. Beauty, style, and vibe are wonderful, but if they come with chaos or confusion, they're not enough. Next is to practice saying no without over-explaining. You don't owe access to everyone who wants you. Boundaries are not rejection. They're self-respect. Next is to romanticize the right things, which is loyalty, respect, peace, support, long dinners, deep presence, kind eyes, shared vision. That's real romance. And finally, choose relationships where your softness is safe. You're not meant to be the strong one all the time. Let yourself receive and let yourself be held. A great affirmation for your Taurus-ruled 7th house is, I attract relationships that honor my peace, reflect my worth, and hold space for my full self. Be sure to let me know what part hit home for you in the comments below. And of course, tap that like button, share the vibes, and subscribe so the stars always find you. And if this resonated, imagine what we can do in a full session. Links to my digital journals, courses, and one-on-ones are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Taurus in the 8th house is a soul contract to ground into your worth, even in the face of loss, transformation, and emotional intensity. This is where you reclaim stability, not through control, but through self-trust. The 8th house is the realm of intimacy, shared resources, deep psychological bonds, and the kind of transformation that strips you down to your truth. With Taurus here, you're learning how to stay steady in the chaos, to hold your value through endings, to honor your body and needs, even when emotions run deep. This placement says, you can go deep without losing yourself. You can share without sacrificing. You can be transformed without becoming unrecognizable. You're not here to be consumed by others' emotions, drama, or desires. You're here to be a stable force in the face of intensity, to anchor down instead of spiraling out. Your peace is your protection. Your body is your barometer. Your worth is not up for negotiation. The 8th house is where we confront fears, power dynamics, emotional vulnerability, and the parts of ourselves we often keep hidden. When Taurus energy is lodged here, it can feel unsafe to let go or to fully open up at all. So this brings a few challenges. One being fear of emotional exposure. You may avoid true vulnerability because it feels like losing control. Sharing your depth may feel dangerous, even with people you trust. There's also over-attachment to what provides security, even when it's unhealthy. You may cling to relationships, financial ties, or emotional patterns that feel safe but keep you stuck. Then there's resistance to change. Even when a chapter needs to end, Taurus energy can hold on too long. This creates prolonged suffering or emotional stagnation. This also comes with fear of being too much. Your emotions run deep, but you may suppress them, afraid they'll overwhelm others or that they'll make you look unstable. There's also the challenge of undervaluing your sensuality. There may be shame, trauma, or repression around your sexual energy or desire for physical pleasure, making embodiment feel unsafe or foreign. There's also the challenge of mistrust around money and shared resources. So you may struggle to feel safe in financial partnerships or feel disempowered when you rely on others for stability. Your energy is naturally magnetic, but it's often quiet and mysterious. People feel drawn to you without fully understanding why. There's a richness to your emotional world, but also a fear of what will happen if you fully let yourself be seen. This type of energy can show up for you in several ways. So, you're often the emotional anchor in intense situations. When others spiral, you stay calm, but that calmness can become numbness if you never let yourself fully feel. You crave intimacy, but only when it feels deeply safe. Surface level relationships exhaust you. You want soul deep connection, but your boundaries are strong and your trust is earned slowly. You're often the one that others rely on during emotional or financial upheaval. You hold space for others, but may struggle to let others hold space for you. You also have a powerful gift for emotional and financial healing, whether it's helping others rebuild after loss or showing them how to feel safe in their bodies again. Your calm presence is transformative. You may also experience cycles of death and rebirth around stability. What once made you feel safe eventually becomes too small. You're constantly being invited to evolve your relationship to control, trust, and surrender. Also, your sensuality is sacred, but it may have been hidden, judged, or misunderstood. Reclaiming this part of yourself is key to unlocking your full power. To begin to heal and realign with this energy, the first step is to let peace be your anchor in transformation. You don't have to lose yourself every time something ends. Breathe. Stay grounded. You're allowed to move through intensity with grace. Next is to release what you've outgrown, even if it once felt like safety. Whether it's a job, relationship, or emotional habit, if it costs your peace, it's too expensive. Next is to create boundaries around emotional energy exchanges. You don't owe anyone constant access to your emotional or physical body. Choose where you share and with whom intentionally. Next is to reclaim your sensuality without shame. Explore embodiment through pleasure, touch, scent, and beauty. Let your body be a safe place to land, not something to hide or judge. Next is to practice emotional transparency with yourself first. You can't heal what you won't admit. Let your truth rise without labeling it dramatic, needy, or wrong. And finally, create rituals around money and emotional security. Ground your finances. Release money shame. And remind yourself, you are safe to receive, to save, and to be supported. A great affirmation for your Taurus-ruled 8th house is, I am safe to feel, release, and rise. My peace is unshakable. My worth is untouchable. And I trust myself through every transformation. Let's make this a chart therapy session and share your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, show this video some love, share it with your soul tribe, and subscribe for more magic. And don't just stop at this video. Come work with me, whether it's a guided journal, an audio drop, or a private session. I've got you covered, and all the links are in the description box below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Taurus in the 9th house is a soul contract to trust that your truth is enough. You didn't come here to blindly follow rules, institutions, or belief systems. You came here to embody a life philosophy that feels grounded, peaceful, and real. The 9th house governs your personal truth, higher education, world view, spiritual expansion, and the journeys, both literal and metaphorical, that shape your evolution. With Taurus here, your growth happens slowly, deeply, and through lived experience. You're not here to be convinced of what's true. You're here to feel it in your bones. You don't need a passport full of stamps or a wall full of degrees to be wise. Your knowing comes from embodied truth, from what has stood the test of time in your own spirit. You're here to anchor into a belief system that calms your nervous system, to explore at your own pace, to integrate, not just intellectualize. This placement asks you to stop outsourcing your truth to loud voices, lofty theories, or shiny credentials, and instead root into what's been quietly speaking to you all along. It's about building a belief system that feels like home, one that you don't have to debate to defend, one that honors both your intuition and your body. The 9th house wants growth, movement, and expansion, but Taurus energy resists what feels unfamiliar, risky, or destabilizing. This can create tension between your desire to grow and your need to feel safe while doing it. This can show up as fear of the unknown disguised as being practical. You may avoid taking leaps, traveling, or exploring new philosophies out of fear it will disrupt your comfort or peace, even if your soul craves it. You may outgrow old beliefs, but cling to them anyway. So whether it's religion, family values, or your idea of what life should look like, you may resist change even when your truth is evolving. Another challenge is over-intellectualizing your growth. You may feel safer reading about change than living it. Talking about self-worth, spirituality, or freedom, but hesitating to embody it. There's also the challenge of spiritual materialism. So you might get caught up in the aesthetic of spiritual growth, crystals, books, retreats, without fully letting those tools sink into your daily choices and values. There's a challenge of waiting for a perfect moment to go after your dreams. Taurus energy can stall progress by clinging to what's known. You might delay the risk that would bring the exact freedom you're longing for. There's also the challenge of believing there's only one right path. You may fall into all or nothing thinking around purpose or truth, struggling to allow for nuance, duality, and flow. You are a slow burning visionary, a grounded seeker, a spiritual realist. You're not here to learn fast. You're here to integrate deeply. And when you do, your wisdom becomes magnetic. Now, this energy can show up for you in a few ways. So, one is you crave expansion, but in a way that feels peaceful, not chaotic. You don't want a jet-setting, overstimulated life. You want a rich, meaningful one that grows with you. Your relationship with truth is deeply personal. You might not always have the words to explain why you believe what you do, but it's real and it's felt. You often blend beauty and wisdom, whether through design, writing, teaching, or travel. You naturally merge aesthetic experience with deep meaning. You may attract people who seek your guidance. You may not realize how wise you are, but your calm presence and lived experience make others trust your perspective. You may also feel torn between comfort and calling, staying safe in the familiar versus taking the leap towards something soul aligned, even when the path is unclear. And you are a natural spiritual teacher, but may not fully own it. Whether or not you have a formal platform, your life itself teaches people how to find peace, purpose, and self-worth through grounded truth. To begin to heal and realign with this energy, the first step is to let your truth be enough, even if no one else validates it. You're not here to be universally understood. You're here to be authentic. Your beliefs don't need to be explained to be honored. Next is to expand in ways that nourish your nervous system. You don't have to follow anyone else's timeline. Let your growth feel safe, embodied, and aligned with your own pace, not forced or performative. Next is to let go of belief systems that no longer serve the version of you you're becoming. Just because it once felt true doesn't mean it still fits. You're allowed to evolve your worldview without guilt. Next is to say yes to the journey that feels aligned, even if it scares you. Whether it's launching a project, going back to school, traveling, or sharing your voice, your expansion is sacred. Don't let fear of instability hold you back from your next chapter. Next is to create rituals around your beliefs. Bring your values into your everyday life. Meditate, journal, move your body, decorate your space, all in ways that reflect the truth you live by. And finally, let your wisdom be lived, not just learned. Embody the teachings. Walk your talk. Your impact doesn't come from how much you know. It comes from how deeply you live it. A great affirmation for your Taurus ruled ninth house is: my truth is enough. I create a life rooted in peace, purpose, and self-honoring wisdom. I grow in my own timing, expand through what nourishes me, and trust that my beliefs are sacred ground. Be sure to let me know what part hit home for you in the comments below. And of course, tap that like button, share the vibes, and subscribe so the stars always find you. And you don't have to figure this out alone. Let's go deeper through my courses, digital journals, audio guidance, or a one-on-one with me. All the links are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Taurus in the 10th house is a soul contract to build a life that feels just as good on the inside as it looks on the outside. You didn't come here to grind yourself into exhaustion just to prove your worth. You came here to redefine what success feels like on your terms. The 10th house rules career, public reputation, long-term goals, and how you're seen in the eyes of the world. It's your legacy house, your path to visibility and impact. And with Taurus here, you're not meant to climb the traditional ladder just because it's there. You're meant to root into your own value and build something real, lasting, and self-honoring. You're here to show that stability and softness can coexist, that you don't have to chase, prove, or perform to be respected, that your presence alone can be a form of leadership. Taurus in the 10th house reminds you, your life's work is not just about what you do, it's about what you embody. Are you showing up with integrity? Are you aligned with your values? Are you building something you actually want to keep? You're not here to just look successful. You're here to feel safe, valued, and in full ownership of your impact. The challenge with Taurus in the 10th house is that the desire for security, recognition, and approval can make you cling to paths that feel safe but soul-draining, or prevent you from stepping into leadership unless it's perfect. So this can bring the challenge of pursuing stability at the expense of authenticity. So you may stay in jobs, roles, or industries that don't align with your spirit just because they offer a steady paycheck or external credibility. There is also the fear of being seen. Even though this is the house of visibility, you may downplay your power or delay your goals because being fully seen feels vulnerable or risky. There's also the challenge of over-identifying with your work. So your worth may become wrapped around your productivity, accomplishments, or career title, causing emotional collapse when things slow down. There's also the challenge of comparing your timeline to others. Taurus moves slowly, but the 10th house can create pressure to make it early. This creates tension between divine timing and societal standards. There's also the challenge of perfectionism disguised as professionalism. So you may think that you're being responsible or strategic, but really you're just afraid of being judged for doing it your way. Then there's choosing aesthetics over alignment. You might be drawn to building a brand, business, or public image that looks good but doesn't truly reflect who you are at your core. You carry a quiet authority, a grounded presence that doesn't need to shout to be respected. When you walk into a room, people notice, even if you don't realize it yet. But your power is most potent when it's not just strategic, it's soulful. Now, this energy can show up in your life in a few different ways. So, you know that you're here to build a career that lasts. Fast success doesn't impress you. You want to build something with depth, with values, with real substance. And you'll take your time doing it. You also magnetize opportunities when you're rooted in self-worth. When you're aligned, you don't need to chase. Things come to you. Clients, visibility, recognition, because people trust your steadiness. You've probably been the reliable one in professional spaces, the dependable leader, the one who keeps things calm. But that can come with the burden of being expected to hold it all together, even when you're crumbling inside. You may also feel the pressure of living up to your potential. So you may have always known you're meant for something big, but the fear of failing or being seen trying can delay your path. You may also crave luxury, beauty, and financial peace, but feel guilt or shame for wanting more, especially if you've been conditioned to believe that ambition makes you selfish or shallow. And to begin to heal and realign with this energy, the first step is to define success based on how it feels, not how it looks. Does your work honor your nervous system, your values, your spirit? Real success never asks you to self-abandon. Next is to let slowness be your power move. You're not late. You're just building something that's meant to last. Don't rush the roots. Let your timeline be sacred. Next is to create systems of self-trust in your work. Ritualize your routines. Ground into your gifts. Structure your goals in ways that feel sustainable, not suffocating. Next is to show up as the future version of you now. Dress like her. Speak like her. Price like her. Align your brand or career path with the reality you want, not the one you're afraid to leave behind. Next is to stop waiting for perfection before stepping forward. You don't need to have it all figured out to be taken seriously. Your embodiment is more powerful than your resume. And finally, build your public path around your personal values. If it's not rooted in your peace, it will collapse. Build something that your soul would be proud to sign your name on. A great affirmation for your Taurus-ruled 10th house is, I am worthy of a legacy that honors my peace, reflects my values, and sustains my spirit. I rise in my own timing, on my own terms, and I lead from a place of rooted self-worth. Was this a mirror moment for you? Be sure to let me know what came up for you in the comments. And of course, if this lit you up, hit like, share it with your friends, and subscribe for your next download. And you don't have to figure this out alone. Let's go deeper through my courses, digital journals, audio guidance, or a one-on-one with me. All the links are below. I appreciate you. Thanks so much for watching. Taurus in the 11th house is a soul contract to build a life that's both expansive and aligned, where your dreams aren't just fantasies, but grounded realities that support your peace, your values, and your worth. The 11th house governs your future vision, your communities, your soul-aligned connections, and the dreams that are too big to keep to yourself. With Taurus here, you're not meant to chase quick wins or follow trends. You're meant to plant the kind of seeds that grow into legacies. This placement reminds you, you don't need to be everywhere or with everyone to create impact. You're here to elevate, not overextend. You're here to attract your soul-aligned people, not audition for belonging. Taurus in the 11th house is about quality over quantity in every sense. Friends, collaborations, visibility, goals. This placement asks, what kind of future actually feels good to your nervous system? What does slow, stable success look like for you? Where are you still choosing connection over self-worth? This placement is your reminder that true belonging never costs you your peace, that real community doesn't require self-abandonment, and that your worth is not determined by how many people see you, but by how fully you see yourself in the spaces you occupy. The 11th house is tied to community, social belonging, and big picture dreams. But when Taurus energy is tangled here, it can lead to playing small, blending in, or compromising authenticity in exchange for acceptance. So this can bring a few challenges. One being fear of outgrowing your current circles. You may stay loyal to friendships or communities that no longer resonate simply because they feel familiar, safe, or stable. It can bring the challenge of settling for surface-level connections instead of nourishing, soul-expanding relationships. You might surround yourself with people who like the idea of you, but don't truly see you. There's also a resistance to visibility. So you may crave recognition, but fear judgment or rejection. So you hold back your voice, ideas, or creations until they're perfect, which delays your dreams. There's also the challenge of underestimating your unique contribution. So you might struggle to believe that your voice matters in the collective, especially if your gifts are quiet, spiritual, or unconventional. There's also the challenge of clinging to outdated dreams. Taurus energy can resist change, even when it's needed. You may keep pursuing goals that no longer light you up simply because they were once part of the plan. There's also the challenge of equating value with approval. So your worth becomes entangled with how many people follow you, include you, or validate you, which makes rejection or lack of recognition feel personal. Your presence in group spaces is grounding, stabilizing. You bring emotional steadiness, peace, and a quiet strength to your relationships. But underneath that steady exterior, you may feel disconnected, under-recognized, or energetically misplaced. So you may attract people who want your grounding energy, but don't always reciprocate it. You may become the rock in your social circles while feeling emotionally unsupported yourself. You have big dreams, but may fear being too much or not enough to bring them to life. You crave a future that feels aligned, but may silence your vision in fear of not fitting in. You value loyalty, but may confuse it with obligation. So, staying too long in groups, jobs, or friendships that once served you, but now shrink you. You might move through life with quiet influence. You're not always the loudest voice in the room, but your consistency, integrity, and wisdom hold real weight if you let yourself own it. You long to be part of something meaningful, a movement, a mission, a community, but you may struggle to find spaces that feel like a true match for your values and emotional safety. And you may often put other people's dreams first. Supporting others comes naturally, but you may delay your own vision, waiting for permission, partnership, or proof before making a move. Now, to begin to heal and realign with this energy, the first step is to redefine what success looks like in your future. Not based on numbers or popularity, but on how nourished, peaceful, and aligned you feel within the life you're building. Next is to let go of connections that cost you your peace. Belonging doesn't mean tolerating. Stop staying in spaces where you're only accepted when you shrink. Next is to say your dreams out loud. Speak them into rooms where you're fully seen, not just supported when you play small. You don't need to over-explain. Let your vision be your boundary. Next is to prioritize resonance over recognition. Don't chase viral moments or networking with the masses. You only need the right people, and they'll find you when you stop performing. Next is to unsubscribe from hustle culture. Your future is meant to unfold like a garden, not a race. Build slow. Build intentionally. Build for the version of you that wants to stay. And finally, treat your dream like an investment, not a side note. Commit time, energy, and ritual to your goals. Water them even when no one is watching. That's how Taurus energy in this house builds empires. A great affirmation for your Taurus-ruled 11th house is, I am worthy of a future that honors my values, my vision, and my peace. I no longer settle for spaces that shrink me. I align with communities and dreams that reflect my true worth. It's chart confession time, so be sure to let me know what resonated most for you in the comments. And of course, tap that like button, share the vibes, and subscribe so the stars always find you. And if you're ready to work your chart on a soul deep level, my digital journals, courses, and private sessions are all waiting for you. The links are listed below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Taurus in the 12th house is a sacred invitation to ground into something deeper than logic, to trust your inner peace as real, even when the world can't see it. This isn't the house of what's obvious. It's the house of the invisible, the intuitive, the spiritual. And Taurus here brings the soul assignment of learning to feel safe without proof. You carry an inner frequency of peace, softness, and beauty that often goes unnoticed, even by you. It lives in your dreams, in your silence, in the way you exhale when no one's watching. But you may not have been taught to value these things. In fact, you may have learned to dismiss them as lazy, unrealistic, or irrelevant. The 12th house represents the hidden self, the parts of you that operate behind the curtain of your public persona. With Taurus here, your worth isn't tied to action. It's tied to how deeply you allow yourself to receive, to rest, to recharge, and to remember that presence is enough. This placement asks you to build an inner sanctuary so stable that no external chaos can collapse it. It's about learning that your softness isn't weakness. It's sacred architecture. That your desire for solitude isn't avoidance. It's spiritual preservation. And that your self-worth doesn't have to be loud to be undeniable. The 12th house can feel like a foggy mirror. It holds deep truth, but it's often hard to access or trust. When Taurus energy gets buried in this space, it can be difficult to recognize your value, your desires, or even your right to exist unapologetically. This can bring a few challenges. One being that your self-worth feels invisible. So you may struggle to feel your value unless someone else reflects it back to you. This can lead to chronic self-doubt or feeling like you're only lovable when you're needed. Another challenge is guilt around rest and slowness. Even though you crave deep stillness, you may judge yourself as lazy, unproductive, or behind, especially if your value was conditioned around doing, fixing, or achieving. Another challenge is spiritual bypassing through comfort. So you might use pleasure, fantasy, or escapism to avoid pain or uncertainty. This can show up as emotional overeating, oversleeping, or disassociating from your own inner wisdom. Another challenge is fear of visibility. So you may unconsciously hide your talents, beauty, or value to avoid judgment or rejection. There's a desire to stay unseen because visibility once felt unsafe. Another is romanticizing suffering. So there can be a deep pattern of staying in uncomfortable or even toxic emotional patterns because they're familiar. Peace can feel foreign, almost suspicious if you're not used to it. Another challenge is a disconnection from the body. Taurus is an embodied sign, but in the 12th house, that embodiment can feel elusive. You may spend more time in your mind or your fantasies than in your physical experience, especially if your body has ever been a source of pain or shame. This is the quiet power that doesn't need to be seen to be felt. The way you soothe others without trying, the way your presence dissolves tension in a room, and the way you instinctively sense what others need, but may struggle to give the same care to yourself. This energy can show up in your life in a few different ways. So you are deeply intuitive, but your intuition comes through your body more than your thoughts. So gut feelings, physical sensations, and emotional waves often guide you, but only if you slow down enough to listen. You may dream of a peaceful life, but sabotage it by clinging to chaos. So peace might not feel earned, so you unconsciously recreate drama, financial instability, or emotional tension. Another way is that you are naturally gifted at making spiritual energy tangible. So you can build altars, create rituals, or design sacred routines that bring the unseen into form. But you might second guess the value of these gifts. Another is your relationship with money and worth can feel mysterious or blocked. You may have abundance dreams, but also secret shame, guilt, or confusion about deserving them. Also, you could show up as a quiet emotional anchor for others. People may not even realize how much they lean on you because you give so subtly. But this often leaves you feeling unacknowledged or emotionally drained. You may also have a secret longing to disappear, to live in a remote cabin, to drift off the grid, to be left alone in peace. And while solitude is sacred for you, it can become dangerous when it turns into disconnection from your own desires. Now, to begin to heal and realign with this energy, the first step is to let stillness be your teacher, not your punishment. Slow down with intention, not as a last resort, but as a sacred practice. Breathe, feel, listen. Choose stillness before burnout chooses you. Next is to create a private ritual that reminds you of your worth daily. This could be skincare as a ceremony, lighting a candle before bed, or whispering affirmations in the mirror. Repetition creates remembrance. Next is to use beauty as a healing language. Create an altar. Make your morning smoothie a ritual. Use fragrance, texture, and sound to reconnect to your body. Let pleasure be a path to presence, not avoidance. Next is to set boundaries around your alone time. You need solitude to function at your highest frequency. Stop explaining or apologizing for it. Alone time isn't isolation, it's integration. Next is to stop hiding your gifts just because they're quiet. Your ability to make people feel safe, to create peace, to channel beauty from thin air. These are spiritual gifts. Start treating them as such. And finally, let your inner peace become your new baseline. No more chaos addiction. You're not here to prove your resilience. You're here to normalize a life that feels soft, steady, and self-honoring. A great affirmation for your Taurus-ruled 12th house is, my peace is my power. I trust the worth that lives in my stillness, and I create a life that reflects my sacred inner sanctuary. Be sure to drop your "Wow, this is me" moment in the comments. I read them all. And of course, give this video some love, share it with your soul tribe, and subscribe for more magic. And your next breakthrough is one click away. My digital journals, audio guidance, courses, and private sessions are linked below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching.